And the winner is... Arctic Monkeys!
That subscriber content, eh? That subscriber content, it just won't go away.
It might hibernate from time to time and sink back into the swamp. I think the cyclical nature of the universe in which it exists demands it adheres to some of its rules.
But it's always waiting there, just around the corner, ready to make its way into your ears and smash through the gated payment system, sounding better than ever.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Benefits such as getting ad-free episodes a week early with pre- and post-show chat relating to the monkeys, last Shadow Puppets episodes, bonus podcasts, watch-alongs, plus helping us improve our sound with better equipment and services.
Yeah, this podcast seems like it's fading away sometimes, but with subscribers, it will never die. Thank you very much for listening. We do truly appreciate it. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, we'll invoice you for the subscription if we need to.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude. That man just yawned. What do we call it,
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to the 18th instalment of the third series of Don't Believe the Hype, the podcast that's taking a deep dive into this into the discography of Arctic Monkeys, and it's a momentous occasion because we're onto the final track of the third Arctic Monkeys era. But we'll tell you shortly about what we've got coming up next week and when we'll be back with. Well, we won't spoil it for you. We won't tell you what's going to be up next. Yes, one more song to go, and with me, Nick. It's the last time I get to use a lyric to introduce
for a
you
humbug
before we
song,
get
yeah,
to
it better be
Season
good.
3, where there's just going to be so many. The handsome enchanter himself, it is Dan. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. No, I said it like a 1960s police officer, but there you go.
Yeah.
Hello, Governor. It's funny you say that because there's a we'll cover it in the lyrics, but there's a discrepancy on what he says there. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but
I couldn't decide which one to go with.
Yeah. I don't know what I think it is either. I'm trying to think. It's we'll listen to that. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, it's the last song, isn't it? The last song of Humbug. Who would have funked it, eh?
Yeah.
Feels like ages that we started. When end of January was it when we came back with My Propeller or something?
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was January with My Propeller, and then bang, flown through it.
Yeah, this is probably the most songs as well. Does this era have the most songs? It must do. Because Suck It and See has a few B-sides, but not as many as Humbug, right? Because, no, it can't have.
How many did we have for Favourite Worst Nightmare? And then
not
the first
as
series was kind of weighted by, like, Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys and Leave Before Lights.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is definitely the last of the... I don't know, yeah, I wonder how many episodes this has compared to... How many songs this has had compared to the others, I'm trying to think. Because it has less songs than the album, though, doesn't it? So...
Yes.
So that maybe affected it, yeah. Yeah, there was quite a few for What People Say, wasn't there? And there was a cheeky little Leave Four Lights come on in the middle as well, with a few tracks as well, wasn't there?
It's very much starting to thin out in terms of quantity, but certainly not in terms of quality.
Oh no, the best is yet to come, in my opinion.
The best is yet to come.
And I don't just mean Suck It and See, you know. But yeah, that we're doing Don't Forget Whose Legs You're On. Probably my least listened to Humbug B-side, not in any disparaging way, but just rarely crack it on. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just rarely get round to all the My Propeller ones suffer, I think, in my listening over the years compared to the others. I definitely know the other Humbug B-sides a lot more than I know the My Propeller ones. Yeah. Like I've listened to Sketched so many times, and I haven't got my Strange and stuff, but maybe it's because they're a bit longer, maybe a bit slower. I don't know why it is that I've not listened to them as much. I can't pinpoint on that why that would be. Why would you crack them off less since 2009? I reckon it would be quite a lot less if you were to, from my listening from 2009 to now, if you were to pinpoint all the Humbug B-sides, these last three would definitely be a big margin,
Which is
like a
interesting
wide
because
margin.
there's very much a school of thought to suggest that they used all the best B-sides on the first two singles of this era.
Mind you, what was the first
and
one?
then
What's the first My Propeller one? It's
Fir-
like Catapult. No,
no, join
no,
the dots.
Join the Dots Afternoon Sound. Yeah, sorry, yeah. Because not of all the B sides, just of all the Humbug B sides. These are the ones that suffer. Like I definitely listen to Fightline Dining Room way more. Definitely listen to Sketchhead way more. Even Red Right Hand way more. Catapult way more. Yeah, these three never put them on. There's nothing wrong with them. Maybe they're just.
No, I don't really. I don't.
I guess even though
I don't think I'll rush back either. Really.
No, even though they've been
I don't think I'll
nice,
be rushing back to them.
it's been a nice listen to them over the past few weeks. But they're not. Yeah, they're just not. They don't hook me like the others do. Maybe it's because the others are more ferocious and it's just always fun to crack on like them. They're always fun to crack on. Whereas maybe it's because like sometimes if you're playing them, it's a party or something. You would never go to people. Oh, I'm gonna put this crack on Afternoon's Hat or something. If you're, you know what I mean, you'd be like, yeah, crack on a bit of Red Right Hand.
And then I'll get
or
my coat because you're clearly going to send me home straight after. So.
something. It's these ones are a bit. Yeah, I don't know why it is. I don't know why that is. Maybe that would suggest they're not as good as the others. Would be the answer.
They have spunked all the best B-sides on the first two singles from this era, and then this has been what's left. And it's not to say that they're bad, but there's
who knows?
Downturn in repeated listenability, I would say.
Yeah, but who knows what order they all would have been if Pretty Visitors had been kept instead of My Propeller as the single release. Maybe because I can't imagine these following Pretty Visitors. I would have imagined that Frightline Dining Room, Red Right Hand, and what would you have? Sketched, perhaps. I haven't got my strange. I reckon the order of these B-sides would be very different if Pretty Visitors had been the third single. I reckon they would, because you think about it, they would have cracked on. I mean, by the way, I don't think you weren't on the episode, were you? So I don't think we talked about it. But according to that Josh Homme article that Justin read, there is another song that he described 3 songs that were his favorite, and we could figure out. They weren't called the songs, you see, but we can figure out from what they were called what he was talking about, and I think it was Frightline Diner and Catapult, and another one which didn't link to any of the current B-sides. So we posed the question that there is a song from the Humbug era that we've never heard, that never saw the light of day.
Imagine they released it
out there
next week as like a little thing. That'd be handy.
Well, I said to Justin, with Bowie's family, we just have to wait for one of them to die, and then they can start putting them on Spotify, can't they?
Which one's going to die, do you think, first?
First? Oh, this is bleak. Imagine if they ever listen. If you want me to put a pin on it, Helders. And that upsets me. I don't know why.
Oh, I always imagined Jamie would be overly sarcastic to his milkman or something and just get savagely beaten.
I just always feel
his chin.
I feel like the drummers go. You know what I mean? They live a wild lifestyle.
Keith Moon. John
There are
Bonham.
others.
There are other drummers. Karen
feel like
Carpenter.
it's the something about drummers. I don't know, that lends themselves to the not for the Beatles, obviously, but
Charlie Watts.
Charlie. Oh yeah, it says yeah.
Imagine being in a band with Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood and dying before both of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just something about drummers. I just feel like Jamie will live to be like an old man. I can see him and you see, I can see him being an old man. I can see Alex being an old man, very much John Cooper Clark-esque, and I can see, but better, but sexier, obviously. And I can see Nick living to a ripe old age and aging very well as he is at the moment. But for some reason, I can't picture Helders as one of the old men of the band, like when they're touring and stuff. Because what happens to drummers is they either die or they look drastically different than they did. Like, take like Dave. I remember when Blur came back in 2013, and I was like, "Is that Dave Rowntree? Is that the same drummer?" Like, he was just like a bald middle-aged bloke that was sat there, and I was like, whereas like Damon Albarn and Alex James and that, like, still look exactly the same now enough, just slightly older. he looks just completely different. The drummers either go vastly different or they die. And I can't see Helder's going vastly different.
I'm always fascinated by idols because like the whole band are just like bearded, tattooed. Like you got a guitarist prancing around with a handlebar mustache, wearing a dress, and then the drummer just looks like the care worker who's been sent to like look after them. It's such a weird. I suppose it's harder to find competent drummers, isn't it? So you just have to be left with someone who maybe doesn't fit your style, your like aesthetic.
Having said that, I mean, you could. I wouldn't want them. I don't know. You can't lose Helders, can you? I don't think. I mean, I mean, is it even capable that Helders, as an old man, would even be able to play a lot of the songs anyway? Definitely not the earlier songs, surely. But which is fine.
Playing Brian Storm at the age of 70.
Exactly. I can't imagine it. But
Jesus
but actually, having said that, I could see Helders aging into it. I think he'll go. I could imagine him getting a sort of becoming a bit fat, and having a kind of old rocker look, or I can imagine Helders looking a bit like Guy Garvey when he's in his like 50s or something. I don't know why, just complete change round. It's a good look, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one. That having said that, I don't really think any of them will die because we're talking about bands that lived in a very different era and a sort of. I don't think Arctic Monkeys are living fast. They didn't take me as like they like to go out. Like Helders and his girlfriend definitely go out to party, but I don't think anyone's living a. They might go out, they might drink, they might do some drugs. I don't know, but I don't think they're hitting it every day hard and and that stuff. So I don't really think any of them are going to die young. Really, I mean, we'll never know because chances are, to be honest with you, that we'll probably be dead before they are because we're a similar age and we have a vastly different lifestyle to them. So I don't think we have to worry about it really. The more pressing question is which of us is going to go first.
Me.
I do feel like that, but I don't know why. Because it could one of us could get something in it.
I mean, the way it's going, I might die before the end of this episode. To be honest.
Oh, I'll get Justin on the speed dial then. Finally, get everything I wanted. He's having a coughing fit, so he can't come back at me. You listen to the song.
Let's play the song whilst I just go and clear out my phlegm, shall we?
I mean, this is weird because it's summer now that you've got this.
It always happens when the weather changes. I get a cold in the first week. When the weather goes from like cool to hot, that first week, I'll be fine for the whole summer now.
I used to be like that before I started working from like I'm protected from getting ill a lot from working from home because I don't have to go on buses and shit and sit next to people. Or not buses anyway, but like public transport around people and offices and stuff. But then I'm also on the other hand very fragile. So when I do go out, something I usually get ill because my immune system isn't used to it being bombarded with germs.
Yeah.
Germs. Yeah. Should we play the song?
Oh, what a lie.
There's a fountain and a scimitar, shaped yellow light, and it picks you up, and it cuts you down to size.
Fade out. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of fade. I don't mind this one, but yeah, I'm not a big. What is it we always say? I like a fade in. Yeah, and I like a fade out. If it's there is a fade out style I like, but I can't think what it is. I think it might be. I can't remember what it is. There is a certain type of fade out I like. What other Monkeys tunes are fade outs?
Body paint.
Yeah, Body Paint's a good fade out. I know we know the live version now, but for an album, Body Paint's fade out. Is that it? Do they only have two?
No, I think there's definitely others.
There are others, yeah. They don't just stop. But
I'm
I do
gonna
love a
have to
stop.
compile a list when we're on our break, aren't I?
I like a stop, though. I do like a stop, a hard stop on a song. Just end it.
I think they definitely do stops more than they do fade outs, definitely.
I think I'm thinking the other one, this Last Shadow Puppet song isn't our first album that fades out, which isn't all right. No, it fades in actually. It's got the ding 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 ding.
Calm Like You.
Calm Like You, yeah, fade in. That's a good fade in. I like that.
The episode for which you can find over with our subscriber content. Check out the episode description, and also find the links to all our socials on there as well.
You probably had a nose at our Patreon when we had to throw up the episode.
Shall we have some information?
Yeah.
The information action ratio, ain't that the place to go?
Don't forget whose legs you're on. It's 3 minutes and 35 seconds long with 5.3 million streams on Spotify. The song is 108 beats per minute and is in the key of C minor. The song has never been played live by the band. It's one of the casualties, although not really bothered. But I think ironically it probably could have fit in like now more than ever.
Yes.
Well, the last two tours definitely, but no real need for it to come back really in any shape or form. And obviously there's not really much out there about this song in the ether, even less than usual. Like it only took me about half a page of searches before the Arctic Monkey stuff filtered out, and it was like diabetes, legs, and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, normally that's a good like 10 pages in for most songs. So, but I did find out some useful information about my oncoming diabetes thanks to my hypochondria. So, do you want some reviews of the album?
Yes.
So, predictably, there's no reviews, but we turn to our ever faithful, ever resourceful enemies greatest list, which I got a bit to chat about because this one is number 87 in their list, which, by the way, I double checked. There's 105 songs on it, and it was stopped before the car. So it is everything before the car. So it's only 10 songs light, to be fair. So when we put them in the weird order and we say, well, they haven't done them all, and to be fair on them, we don't need to be that fair because they're only 10 songs light. And I reckon apart from Mirror Ball and Body Paint, I don't think any of the others will be having a big impact on NME's list. So, but you never know. But they said of this one at number 87, wrapped around an uncomplicated piano melody, repeated for 3.5 minutes straight. Don't Forget Whose Legs You're On is an extremely bleak song, but partially redeems itself with Turner's darkest vocal performance yet. But just put some context on this at number 87. So as we have been. So Frightline Dining Room still at number 98. So again, can't understand that because this is better than that. They had Fire in the Flood at 83, which is always the benchmark there. I don't know if I'd put this higher than Fire in the Flood. Maybe just on principle, but maybe not. I can't see. It's an album track and it is, I guess, marginally better. But the fact that it's higher than Frightline Dining Room, the fact that it's higher than The Afternoon's Hat from last week, the fact that it's I realised that Sketchhead is number 100 in this list. So they only had 105 and they put Sketchhead in the bottom 5 for this album, or bottom 6, I suppose. But that's outrageous. And I did look just to see because the benchmark as ever of my least. So what do you think they've got as the worst Arctic Monkey song on the list? It's fairly obvious to some, maybe. I wouldn't have it as the worst one.
Oh, it's going to be 2013, I'm guessing.
It is. I personally will have The Bad Thing lower than 2013 on my list. Because I would rather put on 20. I can only base it off what I would rather listen to. And if you said to me, right, you've got to listen to an Arctic Monkeys song right now, and you've only got the choice between The Bad Thing and 2013, then I'm going, give me 2013, please.
I think I would absolutely have The Bad Thing last, I think.
Yeah, I can't think of a song that I would least likely to listen to.
I don't think that's going to change either.
Well, there's definitely nothing worse than it coming.
No. And say what you like about 2013, it has it has charm. I think. I know
Charm.
it's.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it's a bit of a silly one. I love it when Alex is silly.
Yeah, I like a silly
It's
song. Yeah,
it's
the
a bit of a
Beatles
suck it
fucking
and
got
see
away with it.
throwback. It's a bit of a suck it and see throwback in the AM era because it's silly. It's got that kind of some of this don't sit down silliness. You know what I mean? Which is good. The silliness is something I want to pose next series, but so save it on that. The silliness of that song and others. I want to pose a question about it. More on that next. I'm going to say next series, but next month. Well, not next month, but coming. So yeah, so basically, the bad thing was at number 95 on this list. So the NME rate the bad thing as being better than Frightline Dining Room, Sketchhead, and to be fair, not the others, but so they say that the bad thing is a better song than Frightline Dining Room. I don't know what to listen to. It's insane. It's insane. Very insane. So that brings us nicely to the music. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a very long one today because, to be honest with you, the music we'll go through, but there isn't a lot of like Enemy said. It's slightly repetitive, I suppose, in a lot of its aspect, and lyrically there isn't loads either. So, but what do you think?
Correct. Well,
what were you going to say?
Argue that it occupies? I think it occupies a similar space to the Jeweler's Hands musically.
I would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Maybe that's part of the reason why it's never been one of my most played from this era. If I probably my least played from this era.
Because if you're going to listen to one,
Jeweler's Hands does it a lot better.
Yeah, if you're going to listen to in the same way that we kind of felt like
band agreed, so.
Yeah, in the same way that we felt that Fire and the Dance Little Liar was trying to do a similar thing to what Fire the Flood was doing, but much better. So, don't need both. Yeah, I would agree. I would think. But what did you think of it overall? Why would you put this? Where do you this song? I mean, we kind of said it with the fact that we don't listen to it a lot, I guess. But it doesn't mean I dislike it, but I just don't love it. I think it sits in a non.
I even find it weird using phrases like, "Oh, this is my least favorite run of B-sides," because least favorite. There's still little bits, there's still little lyrics from these three songs we've done that'll pop into my head every so often, just apropos of nothing when I'm not even listening to it. So they're still
I'm trying to think on that.
But
what was there a bad run on? I guess my least favorite run of B-sides would be the Death Ramps. No, because that had Nettles on it, didn't it? So
yeah, Nettles was there, so that elevates it automatically.
Yeah, and I do like Miles's one as well because it's just funny. I quite like the whole Wirral. Again, a bit of silliness as well with the whole Wirral Lidl, and I like the bit in that when Alex comes in as well, as we discussed when we did it. But no, so we haven't done that yet. What am I talking about?
No,
I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking Plastic Trank. I'm thinking, oh yes, well, I've revealed there some stuff by mistake. But yes, again the silliness of Suck It and See. But the Plastic Tramp is what I was thinking of. To be fair, that's good. I would rather listen to Plastic Tramp over any of these. So, despite the fact that some of Alex's lyrics upset me in that one a bit, as a friend of the homeless.
Yeah, he's very
speaking
much
of,
in the Steve Merchant era.
There's a very unless he's being sort of ironic, as we said at the time, as the person that would think that perhaps. I guess this probably is the worst run of B-sides for me, but not in a bad way, just in a way, I guess. But
when
one
of the other runs of B-sides includes Red Right Hand and I Haven't Got My Strange and Sketchhead, like nothing's topping that in this era, no chance.
For me as well, it's I think you hit the nail on the head with it sounding a bit too much like Jeweler's Hands. And I will say though that because the main thing that kept coming up for this was a Reddit fucking thread about it or whatever, and I just noted that it seems like a lot of people do have a lot of love for this song, so maybe we're out of step with that a bit. And I think maybe like at the time when it came out, I think I probably did, but it's just over the years it's gone a bit dusty in the old catalogue of my mind, I think. So it's just a bit I could take it or leave it. If someone said to me, gun to my head, there's 3 Arctic Monkey songs that you can never listen to ever again. 3 Arctic Monkeys B-sides that you can never listen to ever again. I don't think there'd be 3 from the catalogue that I would say no to over this. Maybe Death Ramps, maybe and stuff. But if I take out the instrumentals and actual songs, then these wouldn't be I can't think of any other ones that I'd get rid of over these three.
No.
Which sounds
you
bad
would not
because
believe how much I had to listen to this song to refamiliarize myself with it. It's like fingerprints on an abandoned handrail by this point.
it does get in your
Song.
head
I just
though,
completely forgot it.
because it's repetitive. That riff has just been going round and round in my head for about
Yeah,
3
yeah.
days probably. But I don't. Yeah, it sounds bad because I wouldn't put it lower than. I'm trying to think on my list, like, because there'd be a chance I could put this lower than. The thing is, Johnny the Dots and Afternoon Hearts are pretty good songs as well, but there's a chance that I could put this lower than 2013, which seems pretty bad when you think about it. But I don't know. I just enjoy listening. I think that's what it is as well. Particularly with this one, I don't really enjoy listening to it, and maybe it's because what the enemy said about it being not just repetitive, but also Alex singing in with a darker mood. Maybe it just doesn't fill me with the same because although Fluorescent Adolescent is similar, Fluorescent Adolescent has Fluorescent Adolescent, bloody hell. Jeweler's Hands has a similar to Jeweler's Hands. Jeweler's Hands has a kind of it's that cool bass bit with a dum, 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 dum. It's got the cool drums, and then it builds into this great thing. This doesn't really go anywhere.
That's
This is like what Jules' Hands would have been if they hadn't have added the addendum at the end that they did in the desert with Josh Homme. Doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, I feel bad kind of saying that. I feel like we're slagging it off, but it's just they got such good songs that sometimes some of them have to kind of don't have to enjoy them as much. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that there's. Oh, I know there is. There's plenty of people that would say to us that we're mad to think that Sketchhead is a good song. But I just love that song. I just love it, and maybe it's the lyrically northern thing. I don't know with it, and I don't know, but
yeah,
I guess you
yeah,
could.
I think Sketchhead almost brings a sense of nostalgia for the earlier stuff as well, in a way, lyrically. So maybe that's tied up in it as well.
I think as well, and to be fair, Afternoon's Heart was pretty good and Joining the Dots, but we've also this is definitely none that even though we don't like Fire and the Flood much, these ones haven't come close to replacing it on the album, which says a lot as well because we don't really like that song being on the album, but I wouldn't replace Fire and the Flood with any of these three, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I think Joining the Dots and Afternoon's Heart, to be fair, are much better than this one. But this one, they hit a mood very well, but it just doesn't go anywhere. But let's get into the music anyway. So it does have a nice little jazzy, almost drum start from Helders with that kind of... It's a nice little intro to it. Then the piano comes in. I do really like the simple piano here. I do like the piano riff. It just obviously stays the same, but I do like it. It sounds nothing like it, but I felt very 1 Point Perspective-esque with it.
I was going to say 1 Point Perspective and Everything You've Come to Expect live in a similar universe in terms of a very simple kind of piano.
I think he's actually talked about writing that around the same time as Everything. I feel like I've heard him talk about a link between those two songs, you know.
He wrote 1 Point Perspective on the piano
that he did Everything You Come to Expect on that, and I think he said that around the time as he wrote that song for that album, he wrote the riff for 1 Point Perspective, and that's why he carried it over to when he was writing for the next Monkeys album. So there is a link there.
You also have a similar thing on the world's first ever monster truck front flip as well. That's similar organ kind of. It pops up a lot. I can't wait for that.
But yeah, it's got that kind of just that same kind of, I guess, hitting the two notes type thing to it. It's got a nice rhythm to it. I mean, the piano bit, it's a bit jazzy. It's you know the way I've said what I will say about Joining the Dots and Afternoon's Heart. I keep saying they got very nice chord progressions in the sort of rhythm guitar work on this single and on this single release B-sides. But I think the piano does what the guitar's doing there. It has some nice melodic changes to it. As it goes through, it just only changes like about 4 times and then just repeats that cycle. That's the only kind of down point. But yeah, I made a note here, very Jules' Hands as well. So I was on the same mood, a similar mood They'd be a good. I guess they could be a good companion piece to each other.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I did do my. What was my theory of a my 3 songs, and I did it the other day. There was 3 songs that I said that make a good companion piece lyrically. I think it was. I can't remember what it was now. I said it and then I did it the other day. I said it on one of our other pods, and it might have been. I think it might. No, I think it was the lyric connection between Jeweler's Hands. I said it was on the Frightline Dining one. I said Jeweler's Hands, Catapult, and 2 Hearts in 2 Weeks by the Shadow Puppets. Have seen the same vibe. So I started with 2 Hearts in 2 weeks, then into Catapult, then Jeweler's Hands, and it was a nice trilogy actually of songs to do. Yeah, kind of fast into slow as it went, about the same kind of character, mystical dude. But yeah, I mean, what I will say, as ever, the bass is outstanding once again on these B sides. Yeah, to be fair, that is what this EP has going for it. Some of the bass is absolutely incredible. But then so do the other songs, to be fair, of this era. So. So
once again, Mr. O'Malley, like seeing none of that sweet baseline cash because it's
you must have
on a B-side.
He must have been livid. Yeah, and not only is it tucked away on a B-side, it's they're tucked away on a B-side that was only released on vinyl for charity. So absolutely nothing, nothing from it. So he went, right, I'm not doing any
imagine
again.
His family members wanting to hear. Imagine like his nana and granddad saying, "Oh, we hear you're doing well with that new band. Where can we hear your stuff?" He's like, "Well, I guess get down to Oxfam for 6 in the fucking morning, aren't you?"
Well, luckily Oxfam is full of nana and granddads, so that's and yourself,
already
obviously. But yeah, probably okay, really, in the end.
Nardos, me.
Nardos.
No, it goes to British charities. You see, it goes to British kiddies.
Oh, you're not one of them, are you?
I couldn't give a shit.
No. I mean, exclusive. If I'm going to go to a charity shop, it'll be the RSPCA one, because animals over humans, please.
Choice, yeah. Cats and dogs. That's my first choice. Yeah.
Dogs and then cats, but yeah. So I would say that. Yeah, he must have been pretty pissed off because the bass in this is great, and he's got this cool. He's just smashed the bass. He's just had this cool run of incredible bass lines on this era, and maybe he was like, right, if it's experimental, I'm not doing bass. That's why he didn't do any bass for Tranquility, because he was like, right, if we're doing this experimental albums, you write the fucking bass lines, Alex, because whenever we do this, mine get lost in the mix. So
yeah,
figuratively and literally.
See how easy you find it to write a bass line, Alex, and then Alex comes back with
he's like
bass line for Tranquility.
Yeah, and he's like, rats. What do you reckon the instrument? So that means that Alex can do. So that would confirm the theory then, because Alex can do pretty good bass, and he can do pretty good all-round guitar. So that would kind of confirm the one thing that he can't do, I imagine, is incredible drums. So that would sort of back up the theory that I don't like to rate them in terms of because they are all integral, but put it this way, right? If Arctic Monkeys are old, but the full band can't get together, and I hate to ask this, but since you asked me which one I'd rather have dead first,
have dead. Which one did you think?
I'll ask you a series of questions. If they were doing a live tour, and Alex said, "I'm not coming back to the band," so they get another singer in, would you go to that live tour?
No.
If Helder's
currently going on. Oh no, I don't think.
What band were you going to say?
I was going. No, because it's definitely not as good a band as Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but do you remember Huey Morgan from Fun Loving Criminals?
Vaguely, yeah.
So their tour.
He's the only one I do remember.
He's not in them anymore. Yeah, so he's not in them anymore, but they're still touring and stuff like that. And he's constantly sharing videos on his Twitter feed of him going, "This isn't the Fun-Loving Criminals. I'll be touring in the summer doing all the songs, but these imposters can fuck off." Like,
yeah, but this is like my thing that the first gig I ever went to was the Undertones, but without Fergal Sharkey. It was a different
Fergal
singer.
Sharkey, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, very weird.
I went to see Slade a few years ago, and there was no Notting. I thought, what's the point?
Yeah, no, Alex, definitely not. But would you go if there was no Helders to see them live on a tour?
I mean, it's a tough question because given how infrequently they tour anyway,
No. So come on,
I
it's
feel I wouldn't like missing the opportunity. But no,
well, no,
Helders
just
is
to
very much. I know they've had a one member change already, and we're still. But after all this time, I think it'd be difficult.
I wouldn't go
I
if
think it'd
Helders
be.
wasn't there.
It
Would you
feel
go
the
if it
same.
wasn't Nick?
No, I've already lost one
Really?
bassist I liked. I'm not fucking losing another one.
Would you go if it wasn't Jamie?
Move on, shall we?
See, I wouldn't go. I would.
No, I still wouldn't go.
Really? Okay, so we'll find out, I guess, in 20 years from now whether you stand to that. I think if I'll be honest, even though I love them both to bits, I think I could go and see them perform live if Jamie or Nick had bowed out of the band. But if Helders or Alex had bowed out of the band, I wouldn't go.
So, following up from my question about when you think will die first, which one do you think will retire first and do a Meg White and basically be like, right, I've made my money, I'm done with this?
Hey Dan, do you like listening to popular songs with questionable lyrics?
You know I bloody do. And Nick, do you like drinking copious amounts of alcohol?
Nah, do I ever? Actually a worry.
Well, if you're the same as us, then come listen to a weekly podcast, Liquor and Lyrics, where we take apart popular music's worst songwriting whilst drinking our favourite drinks, which kind of stay in theme with the song.
From Gin and Tonic to Grease Lightning,
Cosmopolitans with Chaz and Dave,
Blue Lagoons with Busted,
Sex on the Beach with Sex on Fire,
Shirley Temples with Shaggy.
and even a shandy with Sharon.
Dropping on Tuesday the 19th of September and every Tuesday after on your favourite podcast platform.
See, it won't be Helders because he loves touring. He's said that many a time. So I think he'll always want a band. Alex will always want to make music. So he'll carry on even if the band stops. He'll be doing solo albums and stuff, which I can't wait for that period as well. So which you know could be. But
What if that's what he's doing right now? Well, we'll come to that on the podcast later.
Yeah, save it. So I think, and I don't think Nick. I don't know. I want to. It's hard to say. I think it's between Jamie or Nick that I think would retire first, unless Alex just said, "I think we've taken this band as far as we can, and I think we should stop." But if I was going to say which one, I would say. I mean, I don't think they'll ever officially retire. I think they'll just sporadically do stuff. But if I was going to guess one, I reckon Nick. Because he's the least one. He's the one whose personal life I know. Yeah, but I would say that. But we've learned so much about Jamie being the driving force that I can't see him. He's obviously thinking a lot all the time about it. So I feel like Nick's the one who I know the least about from a personal aspect. He's kept that quiet. So the ones like that are usually the ones that go, you know what? I've got my money. I just want to go and live my life now and do some other stuff for a bit. I could see Nick being the one that's like, I want to go and. I don't know. I want to see what it's like to become a fucking canal boat racer or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
You've just invented a new sport.
I know, yeah.
And I'm all for it.
You don't do it, Sky will. But I think, yeah, he's the one that will decide to go off and do something else, maybe, and then come roaring back with the band like a decade later, original lineup. Do you know what I mean? Jamie's got
Freedom Tour.
Yeah, I feel like Jamie's too involved. And Jamie's. I don't want to say it because I don't want to say why because it sounds again bad. These questions are horrible, but those three are not to say they're not all as tight now, but let's be honest, those three have a more personal connection from their youth than they do with Nick, slightly, don't they? So they have a kind of lasting mates till we die. The band if one of us wants to be in it, we're all in it type thing. Whereas, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because Nick came an album later, but I feel like if Nick left, here's my thing: if Nick said he was retiring, they'd carry on. if any of the other three said they were retiring, I think they'd hang up the boots of the whole band. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah, the only
And that
reason
could
I
be
was
wrong.
leaning towards Jamie was because of his personality, because he seems a bit more short with the whole thing. But no, he doesn't have to do interviews. That's changed.
I don't think that
so
is
no, he doesn't have to go and
his.
do all that.
Yeah, I don't think that persona is who he is really. He just doesn't like the press interviews, which is fair enough.
Fair play, yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like Nick, because I just feel like he would. And also you got to think he didn't do a lot of the bass and Tranquility, so the other three were all there. So I don't know. I just feel like if one of them was gonna, I feel like if one of the other three left, I don't think they'd carry on without the other three, but they might carry on without Nick. Is all I'm saying.
Good to have an answer.
But it's not a nice conversation. But yeah.
Go on with it. No, we'll move on from that. It's better than the death one, though, isn't it?
Oh well, if they die, if the band dies, then they're dead to me anyway. Because unless they're doing solo projects. I mean, Alex isn't, obviously. Alex's solo projects will be insane. After we get the amazing bass, we get a pause, first pause of the song, and a lovely clean guitar rings out. Jamie comes in. I have to say, I haven't seen the Black Keys last night. There's this very them guitar note plucking. It's in a more melodic way in this. They do it slower. The Black Keys will do it faster, but it's got that kind of clean bluesy sound a little bit with what they're doing here. Monkeys. Sounds lovely. And I noticed they even miss a note at one point and decided to leave it in. There's a little missed note when they're doing this plucking that we'll put in. And I thought, must have just thought live recording. Still sounds pretty good. It's kind of cool to leave a mistake in there. Let's have it. I think it feels like he hits. Do you know, like when you're trying to stunt the strings and he's hit the stunt one before he's moved his finger, is what it sounded like to me. Like you get half a stunt. Yeah. Fuck it. Why not, eh? And especially since they produced the songs, these three, remember? Interestingly, that they produced them, and they were saying that we don't think they're as good. Perhaps nobody there to give them a bit of guidance. It's the only sort of, apart from, unless there's others, it's the only three songs I can think of that they've produced themselves as a band that I've ever seen. Because I don't think
even
I
the
think
stuff
James
later that they've got production credits on it, stuff with James Ford. James Ford
Yeah.
also produced.
So interesting that they produced these themselves, and yet they haven't cut the mustard for us as much. But yeah, there's another stop here. It's got a little 2-note bass fill, which is more good work from Mr. O'Malley. And interestingly, here you get just a bass and guitar part where they mimic each other, which you don't get a lot in songs. It's very cool. It's kind of like the guitar's in it, doom, 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 and the bass is doing it as well, and it's yeah, it's very rare that, but I like it. I have to say I do like that. All the other instruments stop and just get a bit of guitar and bass doing the same thing together. I feel like it works a lot better in a mood song like this, though. That kind of thing. Then the drums come back in, and even though it basically goes into the same thing again, because the guitars and drums sort of they step it up slightly. Feels like a bit bigger part of the song, but it is essentially the same thing. and then we get drums and bass together again, a very cool bit. I do like this bit as well with just the drums and bass, and it leads into another pause. Pause laid in this one. It's full of pauses.
It's pause later, yeah.
Might be the most pauses we've had so far. Maybe the most we'll have. I can't remember, but we'll have to see on that. But this is a lot of there's a lot of pauses in this one, and then the drums lead us back into the same thing as previously. You do just get much of the same after that, and a fade out. Really, you get a bit of guitar wiggy, and you get a few held as drum rolls here and there, but it is essentially just the same bit, sort of faded out. I think
the little guitar solo is very surf rock. I think very surf rock sound. Not in tempo, but in sound, which I like.
Well, I think one of the problems is that I noticed it last week for Afternoon's Hat when I was doing my notes. Although I enjoyed the song and this one, there wasn't a lot to say about the music. It's probably the least I've written about the music listening to these two than I've ever written, because like maybe some on the first album, but like it just feels like, considering all the different things that we've had to discuss for Humbug, these just feel like there's not as much to talk about in there. There's not that many little nuances and stuff like that. It's all very, and particularly this one, it's essentially the same riff over and over again with a few little changes.
Yeah.
But having said that, everything is cool and sleek and to the point. It's not flashy. It just does what it does, and it does fill you with a mood again. It's just unfortunate that mood is very similar to Jeweler's Hands, which is a far superior song.
I think I'm going to. So this is a game I'm gonna set up to play with people who aren't as monkeys literate as us. I'm gonna play them a song and get them to guess whether it's a B-side or an album track. I think that'd be a cool little. That'll definitely get me invited to more house parties, won't it?
Yeah, let's see when you're gonna play this game and who you're gonna force it upon. Yeah, I think if you want me to ask, I think they would think, all right, what do people say on That's What I'm Not? What you play songs off? All right, let's skip that actually because they've probably heard them all. But Favourite's Nightmare, they know that. So go Humbug onwards, I guess. Humbug onwards. If you listen to the which song off the album do you think they would think was a B-side?
Maybe I'll do this after my date tomorrow night. Although to be fair, there'll have been Arctic Monkeys because we're going to a taqueria, so I'm going to be going around all night going, "I put a taqueria on the roof," and that's just going to ruin it already. So,
I mean, yeah, I don't think you should be doing that on dates, to be honest with you. But fill your boots.
I mean, not at the table. When we get back to hers, I'll do it then
What, this game?
on Saturday morning. Yeah.
My God, you must be
I'll just
insufferable.
play-
I mean, I'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'd enjoy this game.
Yeah.
If I didn't, well, I wouldn't because I'd know all the answers because I'm a fan. But Jesus Christ, I thought I'd put Vicky through some Arctic Monkey stuff, but never anything at that level. Yeah, it's a good way to get her to stop.
Very welcoming of my interest. Exactly, yeah. So I can get 2 weeks out of that.
I mean, there's interest and there's that. Let's play the Arctic Monkeys B-side album track game, honey. Bloody hell. Jesus. Feel sorry for her now. So
As if you didn't already.
Yeah, well, in many ways, yeah. Many ways.
No, I got after I'd left yours, a little the worse for wear on Saturday night. Got back to hers. You know what the first thing she said to me was, "Oh, so what was your favourite at Eurovision? Then what did you think?" I don't know. I blanked it out as soon as it had finished. I don't. I
Well, I
won't be
could tell
thinking
you,
of
it
Eurovision for another
was...
364 days now. Well, it's Finland and Estonia. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah.
That's all I have.
But,
What did you think of? What did you think of Austria? It's like I don't know. They gave the world Hitler, so fuck them.
yeah. And I didn't like the winner either. Boo.
No,
Bag of shit. That was awful. But yeah, I think Fire in the Flood would be the person, which unfortunately might be your date. Would think that Fire in the Flood is a B-side out of all the songs on.
which would be
Humbug.
interesting because that would legitimise a lot of the bollocks we've taught. It's not bollocks.
Yeah,
it's fact.
I guess they might also think dangerous animals are approaching. They might think. I wouldn't, but I'm trying to put my mind in their shoes. But I think, what song do you reckon out of the B-sides of Humbug this person would think, any person, not her, would think would be an album track? I mean,
And I haven't got my strange.
you think they'll think that should be on the album?
I think if she doesn't know Red Right Hand is a cover, I think.
Well, shoot, everyone knows the
It's
song
not
Red
on
Right
the album.
Hand. You have to have been in a fucking cave.
It's not like it's heard it through the grapevine, Dan. You
Oh,
know,
it
it's not
is very
like-
much.
I think
Honestly,
it's that.
I know so many people that don't even like music that much that know that song. Like it
Really?
was big in the 90s. Oh yeah, it came back in the 90s for a bit. Oh, everyone knows that song. Yeah, Vicky, I put on to play Red Right Hand. She doesn't even know. She doesn't know who Vicky didn't know who Nick Cave was. She's never heard that name before in her life. And I played the cover, and she went, "Oh, that's that song, Red Right Hand, isn't it?" She went, "The Red Right Hand." I went, "Yeah, yeah." It's a big song.
Well, I had no idea.
That's why it's been
this. I
covered
knew it
10
was
million
fairly big,
times.
but... Yeah, well, yeah. But I just thought it was fairly big in like.
No, I think it.
More of a
think it-
cult thing than.
Nah, it crept
in,
into
like,
like pop
mainstream.
culture because, like, I mean, it's used in films like Dumb and
Oh,
Dumber,
right.
for God's sake. So, you know,
I
songs get into
suppose
the
so.
mission.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since Peaky Blinders as well. But yeah.
I
But
don't go on dates with people who've watched Peaky Blinders, so it's fine.
have you asked her if she's watched
There's
Peaky
not
Blinders?
many rules. Yeah, I've checked. One of the first questions I asked.
God, the poor women in your
like a
life,
week for the
Jesus
chat.
Christ. So I wouldn't. Yeah, so I think speaking, if you know music and you heard them, I think surely you'd think Frightline Dining Room would be an album track, because how could you hear that and think that only an insane person wouldn't put that on an album? See Josh Homm's views on that. I think if you listen to Suck It and See, they'd probably think Bit by Bit was a B-side, unfortunately, and they'd probably think that Evil Twin was on the album. And then after that, there's not really many B-sides, I think, and they'll know AM, won't they? So everyone knows AM. But if you didn't know the whole of AM, you'd probably think, you might think I Want It All was a B-side, and you might think that You're So Dark should be on an album. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it should be.
Which I've been listening to non-stop since you mentioned it the other day. You're So Dark.
It's an incredible song, but we're not here to talk about that. But yeah, and then there's not really any B-sides really. But yeah, it's an interesting game for somebody. Unfortunately, that's only an interesting game for people that are Arctic Monkeys fans who will already know the answers. So it isn't that fun.
Yeah.
Unless you have
It's
a
fun
very
for
like
me, and that's the main thing.
poor girl. Should we do the cover jingle? A lifetime of.
I'm gonna form a covers band and all.
Do you have any thoughts?
Yes, so I have gone for Roxy music, just purely based on the piano riff being very Roxy music.
Roxy music.
Slash Brian Ferry.
I've gone for Amy Winehouse, who has crept up before on this, because I could just imagine that, you know, like Love Is a Loser's Game, that kind of vibe. I could imagine this being a bit doing that piano, like she had that kind of piano on hers, and then her doing a
Like
kind
Back to
of
Black?
slow version of this, like no, you know the yeah, I mean the piano, but I mean the style of her singing a bit like Love Is a Loser's Game,
Yeah.
being a bit like I just imagine her doing that kind of like I don't know, uh, picks you up and cuts you down. So I can imagine her doing that in her voice, or something like that. So I think she'd do a good
Yeah,
mood
I
mood
can
with this
get on
song.
board with this.
I think she'd do it well, old Amy. She'd do it well. So that brings us to the lyrics of this one. What what's it all about, Draken?
So it feels like, for the most part, it's quite for something that's maybe not got a lot to it lyrically. It is. I say it's one of the more cryptic ones, but I see it as um. I think he's possibly talking to a woman again, and it's someone he likes. But I think there's behaviour that he's not a fan of. And the phrase "Don't forget whose legs you're on," I can't help but think of Human League. Don't forget it's me who put you where you are now, and I can put you back down too. Every time I hear that song title, it just makes me think of that lyric every time.
I've got a weird thing with the title and the lyric, and we'll get to it when we get to the lyric. But I've never really thought about the lyrics to this or looked at them written down before again because it's sort of under my radar a little
Same,
bit.
yeah.
So that line in particular, I'd thought something and then realized something else. But I think in terms of what you said, I think you're right. For me, this is a whatever people say I am. That's what I'm not song dressed up in humble clothing.
Oh, nice.
That's how I do
like
it.
that,
It's potentially about going out and meeting a woman, and either things she's doing, but also he doesn't come out of it very well. But let's go into it. I would say, and he might not be talking about himself, obviously, but we'll go into it and go as we go. And I tell you what though, for what we've said about it, there's a couple of really good lyrics in this. So I mean, even when Alex is at like a lower down on the scale, he still whacks out a couple of lyrics where you go, wow.
Oh yeah.
So the painted faces congregate in the mating season. I do like the way he sings this as well. I feel like we've been too negative about it, but I do really like listening to it. I just don't listen to it as much because I think you have to be in the mood. I've listened to it a lot this week, and I tell you what, I've not been able to listen to it as much as I've listened to some of the others because it's a bit downbeat, I guess. But yeah, it's probably the most I've struggled. I'd say this is the most I've struggled to listen to the song coming into it because I feel like once I've heard it once or twice, I've got it. I've got it. It's.
I think a lot of that as well is the case of we're very much close to Suck It and See now, and I think we're getting into Suck It and See mode. So
Well, it's a shame
of
because
these
the
guys
last
from the
two were
band,
quite melodic with the acoustic, so it was kind of getting us in there. I think this is so far the worst song to end the series with because we had Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys to end that series with, which was perfect, and then we had Nettles, which was perfect to lead us into Humbug, and now we've got this. I think this is the worst. And the next series we'll have, I don't know what the last one is. Is it Evil Twin? Is it? I don't know what. Is it You and I? Actually, maybe I don't know what the last one is. At the Suck It and See, or is it? I mean, technically, there's a bit of this. Well, there's something in the middle, isn't there, that we're doing a different thing for. To be fair, which we'll do when the time comes. But
just double check what. I'm just going to double check and see what comes as the last song on the Suck It and See era. So
it isn't a good one to end this series with. Really, I would have liked to have ended perhaps with The Afternoon's Hat.
Yeah. You are correct. It does finish with You and I. Yeah. That's
yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
We'll be doing something special after that. So
yes, for the single release in between Suck It and See AM that set the world on fire. My world, anyway. And all yours, I imagine. But although again a bit of a troll because it led me to think what the next album would be, and the next album was different still, so still at it. But what I'm trying to say is I don't. I don't mean to be too negative about it. I just think it's an unfortunate timing for the song as well, because I am really, like you say, it's not that I'm geared into suck it and see mode as much. It's that I like to end every series going into the next album, but also having a cracker of a song. So Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys was a cracker of a song, and Nettles, and I just feel like this is a bit of a down for what has been an amazing. Probably, I think this has probably been the best series in terms of being able to talk about music and lyrics so far, by far. So it's been more serious, definitely. There's been more sort of chat. So it's a shame that it has to end with this. But having said that, some of the lyrics are good, so maybe we can salvage it in terms of some good discussion. So yeah, the painted faces congregate in the mating season. So my kind of thoughts on this are: is this people hiding their true selves when they're looking to find a sexual partner, or is it someone who's promoting themselves? So because painted faces could either be people hiding their true selves by wearing a mask, painted face, or it could be someone promoting themselves, makeup perhaps. The painted faces congregate, so it could be women, painted faces, directed specifically at them. And I for me, a mating season is kind of out in a club looking, or whatever, being out there. Do you think he's just talking about people hiding who they are? Or do you think he's talking about makeup?
I'd go for the first one, but
Would you really?
That's just gut instinct rather than there being anything to.
I think I did at
that's the first thing that
first.
pops into my head.
When I first read the line, I did, but then as I went through the song, I saw that he's kind of pretty much directing that's in this at a woman. It made me think that he means not even makeup, just people promoting themselves. Because I feel like in this song, it's someone who notices him and tries to get with him. So I feel like the painted faces. Although I will say, I think the first verse isn't as about that as the others. So the painted faces could be people either eager to mate, or it could be women with makeup on being out in the mating season. I think it's a couple of different things, but they then say the second homes they go alone, in no rush leave them. Hotels, do you think? Second homes, going back to like hotels. At first, I thought his partner's place, but he says go alone. So maybe he's talking about like when you're on holiday looking for sex or something like that, being out, like Ibiza or Magaluf or whatever. Or feels like second home.
A general unfamiliar place.
Yeah, just people being out, and no rush to leave them. So perhaps like being hungover the next day and being in no rush to leave because you're hungover the hotel. So they go out in the mating season.
10 o'clock because they're twats.
Well, they go. Yeah, the checkout times are shit, aren't they? Like, it's always great when you book a hotel and you see the checkout times midday, and you're like, "Oh, excellent."
Oh, it's like the dream.
But the paint, yeah, it feels like this is what leads me down the kind of Rich to the Rubble first album, kind of like that. It's about people going out looking for sex, and then they're going home alone, and potentially hungover the next day. So very first album vibes on that first bit. And this is great. So, and there's a fountain and a scimitar. Is it pronounced scimitar? Do you think? Scimitar shaped yellow light. Scimitar being a sword that is shaped with a curved sword. So, the moon is what he's talking about here. I think it's shaped like that, and it's half moon, yellow light, obviously being the moon. So there's a fountain, and above it there's a moon. Kind of makes you think of like a European square with like a fountain on it and some cobbles, and then the moon sort of hanging over it.
Yeah,
I
see it specifically as an Eastern European square rather than just European, because I think a scimitar is Eastern European as well.
I get the sentiment that I'm putting Belgium on it, but that's from a personal point of view because I spent a lot of time in Belgium. So that makes me sound like I toured Belgium. I spent a lot of time in Belgium. So Belgium comes to mind, but it's only personally. You're probably right about Eastern Europe, and yeah, if the sword is Eastern European, then I wasn't sure if the sword was Eastern European or it was like Arabian, because I feel like Aladdin has it or something.
I think they have them in Aladdin, don't they?
Yeah, so Arabian perhaps.
And as we all know, that's
Arabian Nights.
So.
Arabian Nights. The first Aladdin, we should stress, not the remake. Yeah.
Not weirdo.
I was at the Bowie song Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights. It's just, he really did every genre, didn't he? Throughout his albums.
Yeah.
No, it's not Arabian. It's in the Smooth of Arabia. It's a good song actually. I like it. It's got a kind of Turkish guitar in it, but or Arabian guitar, I suppose. Probably be a better way to describe it.
Most
I'd imagine.
likely. Yeah.
But so he's just kind of scene setting there, isn't he? He's out. He's at a fountain, and there's a moon over it, and it picks you up and cuts you down to size. What do you think that means? So he's saying he's at a fountain, and there's a moon, and it picks you up and cuts you down to size.
So I see it as that thing of when I suppose when people see some sort of natural phenomena, the, they'll always say this thing about how it makes you feel insignificant, in comparison. So that's the way I saw that as going.
I think that's exactly what he's talking about. That
Yeah.
kind of, especially if you're a bit not arrogant, but maybe feeling good at the moment, or feeling like you're doing something important, or you're something, and that seeing something like that, and seeing what a small, insignificant part of the universe you really are in the grand scheme of things, knocks you kind of back to size, doesn't it? You go, yeah. So, and especially since I think there is a bit of someone being a bit self-important, the narrator of this song later on. So perhaps that's it. He's a bit, maybe even when you're drunk, because he's talking about people being out. So maybe people drunk and thinking whatever about themselves, and then they look up at the moon and think about the stars and the universe and think, oh yeah, ground you, perhaps ground you, brings you back to reality. Yes, I think that's exactly what he's trying to say, which is that's a really good. To be fair, as much as say about the song, that's referring to the moon as a scimitar-shaped yellow light, and then how it picks you up, puts you back down to size is a great observation. Love it. Not the last half moon metaphor that we'll hear, but perhaps the other one's more comical. So the people there and the furniture start to seem important. So I kind of thought that as like as you get drunker in like a club.
Yes.
So the people there, the furniture, they start to seem more important than they are because you're getting more sloshed as you go. A moment more and you catch the floor with a vivid and absorbent sharpened arc.
Lovely line.
Very good line. So what, like collapsing drunk on the floor? So you're getting drunker, everyone seems important, and then you collapse. I'm not sure what the sharpened arc, I guess maybe just the vividness of hitting the floor when you're drunk knocks you into sort of sharpens your senses or whatever, brings you back again a bit in that way. I guess arc meaning your story arc. I don't know. Your evening arc sort of knocks you back into reality in that way. This is where it gets a bit more specific about the lady that he's met. He says, "Oh, I had questions for the tap dancer sat on my lap." So that's either a reference to so I saw a lot about, because it's come up a few times. It came up last week as well, the idea of strippers and lap dancers and obviously fight around dining room. But I don't think so. The only reason I'm reluctant, like I said last week as well, with the reference or joining the dots, whatever it was, is that he pretty much explicitly in Frightline Dining Room was talking about how uncomfortable he finds strip clubs and the anxiety. So I don't know why in subsequent songs he'd be talking about having a stripper sat on his lap or whatever. So I don't think tap dancer is a stripper or a lap dancer. I think tap dancer either is like a sort of metaphor for somebody like tapping him up, chatting him up. She's flirting, she's tapping him up. Tap dancers. Yeah. Because of who he is, perhaps. But she's seen him and she's made a beeline and she's tapping him up. She's performing as well, perhaps like a tap dancer would. Getting his notice. That's kind of how I like to look at it anyway. He's getting a bit of attention. And she had childproof caps on it, which I love this line. And she had childproof caps on her answers. I mean, so he's basically saying that her answers have a child proof, as in that she's not giving the
Being
full.
coy.
Yeah, she's being coy. She's being opaque. Even she's keeping her cards close to her chest. She's not. She's guarded with what she says because she doesn't want to maybe put him off or something. So she's keeping that. I mean, childproof specifically would be something that a child couldn't hear actually. So you could say she's toning it down perhaps as well. But it's like, yeah, she's putting a protection over her answers. So she's not giving everything. She's kind of thinking about what she says and not revealing all. Perhaps, yeah, because she don't want to put him off or whatever. So she's being guarded. But I love that way of putting it. Again, this is like a song where you go, okay, whatever, and then he just has a line like, and she had childproof caps on her answers, and you go, oh, okay. That's he's done it again. He's pulled another gem out of the bag. Okay, so this is where we had a bit of a, because it's the next one is Stone Blower, Blow Me a Stone and Show Me That Handsome Okay, Enchancer is what I've got here, like you said, but I also saw out there Enhancer. But
Right. Yes.
I mean, keep it as if it's Enhancer, right? Because what I saw with that lyric, yeah, because I think he says Enchancer. I don't think he says Enhancer in the song. I think he says Enchancer quiet. I'm trying to think. Blow me a stone, show me that handsome Enchancer. I think he says Enchancer in the song, to be honest.
So it's either Enchanter or Enhancer. But the only thing, so I've heard it as Enchanter. I was adamant. But
I mean, Enchancer.
So-
If it, in his accent, it's easily mistaken. As to, isn't it? So
yeah. But
I
then
don't think
thought
you're a
I'd
million
give
miles away.
Handsome Enhancer the benefit of the doubt and look into it. So I ended up deep down a drug rabbit hole. Not for the first time in my life. I ended up down this this
Not the
drug
last.
rabbit hole where apparently I don't know what it is, but apparently a stoner is what that's what Stone Blower could be the reference to, and Handsome Enhancer could be
Yeah,
a
I
drug
saw this. Yeah,
reference, but it's still tenuous. It took
I-
me some deep diving on Reddit to find that, and
It's-
it was buried so deep that I was like, well, it's not.
there's the thing with this album is there's been a lot of times where people have taken something to be a drug reference, like even like My Propeller or something, and then we've looked at it and gone, oh, what if you take it and you like My Propeller, for example, take it and mean being writing a song could be, I think it was being like inspired by something or something like that, and there's been, and that worked better as a drug reference because it fit more in My Propeller, to be fair. But there's been certain songs in the B-sides where I think because of this being a stoner rock album and the style of it, and because we know they were smoking a lot of weed and they were out in the desert, which is a bit trippy anyway and stuff. I think what's important to remember is that most of the lyrics for this were written before they went to the desert. Is important. But I feel like sometimes trying to shoehorn it in. I don't know why. I think last week we had a similar thing where we were unsure if it meant a drug reference or something else, but it didn't feel natural. And same here, like whether it's Enhancer, if it's Enhancer, then it'll be sexual drug reference, surely. It just doesn't. It feels like a weird. I mean, last week it did actually have the drug thing. We kind of said it's about him maybe doing a trip with a girl, didn't we? So it did. Or was that Joining the Dots? Or was it last week? I can't remember. No, Afternoon's Hat, because we said Afternoon's Hat.
Afternoon's Hat it was, yeah.
I had a reason why Hat could have been a drug reference somewhere, didn't I? I can't remember what it was, but I feel like it's a bit shoehorned in here, like because there's no other, like when you heard that first drug reference in Afternoon's Hat, it was quite clear that the rest of it was also a drug reference. And although I think there are drug references on this album, I just feel like this is, I mean, she could be giving him a drug, okay? She could be in the club flirting with him and she gives him a pill or something, or a joint. That is entirely possible. But I think personally, in the same way that Jules is very similar to Jules' hand language, isn't it? Enhancer as well. It's got that kind of mystical person. For me personally, I think he's referring to her. It's her being sexy like she's the stone blower, blow me a stone and show me that handsome enchanter. So maybe this, her she, I don't know, some people refer to women as handsome, but she's the enchanter. She's enchanted him. She's enchanted. He wants her to show, because he's just said that she's been childproof, so she's been opaque. It's almost like he's saying, you're not telling me everything, so now come on, Stoneblower, blow me a stone and show me that handsome enchanter. It's almost like he's saying, open up to me or whatever. But he could equally be talking about her giving him drugs as well. So I do get it.
I think it's the first one. I was. In fact, I wouldn't even say I was on the fence with the drugs thing. I was just adamant that wasn't it. And then, having looked into that Reddit thread and stuff, I even went to comment on the Reddit thread saying I thought they were wrong, but the thread's been locked because it's like 5 years old. So I couldn't even comment on it to tell them how much rubbish they were talking. So upsetting.
Because none of the rest of the song alludes to drugs either, really. Even after that. So normally when there's a drug reference, the few lyrics after it link as well to it potentially being about drugs. Like last week it was quite clearly during a trip with crawling walls and ripples in the ceiling and stuff, so it made sense. But because the next line is she had a rock on a throttle, which I take to mean she's going at full speed. You know, like if you put a rock on a accelerator, yeah, it's just, you know, like if you were to put a rock on an accelerator of a car and hold it down, the throttle would just go full and it would just zoom off. A bit like that. A bit. There's a brick on my milk float, Ted.
Ted, you forgot your brick.
Ted, you forgot your brick. that's got to be one of the best.
No.
When he's writing on the board for ages, they says it right. It says put brick on pedal. I can't remember what it is. They watch a film, don't they? For hours as well.
Yeah, Speed, isn't it? Is it Speed?
Is it Speed? Yeah, no.
Is it
like Poseidon Adventure or
it's
something?
film,
Poseidon Adventure or something like that. It's like, should we watch Poseidon Adventure again? Because there's a priest in it.
Imagine we have another mass, Ted.
Oh, I love that in the Christmas special. I don't know. How about we say a nice match? I love the Christmas special when there's a mass on the telly and they go to watch a film like Indiana Jones and the mass and they go, oh, great mass, and they sit there pretending to enjoy the mass. But anyway, she's got a rock on her throttle and she's going full speed. And now this is a brown glass bottle full of shavings from the sun. Now a lot of people probably allude to that being some kind of trippy drug thing, but I personally think he's just talking about one of those vodka bottles with gold shavings in it. You know that thing they do in like bars because it cuts your
Goldschlager.
Gets it into your bloodstream quicker, doesn't it?
Which is bollocks.
I don't know if it subtly does something. It probably doesn't, but it's just something to charge rich people. Empress New Clothes in it. Charge rich people more for something that. But yeah, I think
Grey Goose got voted like the worst vodka when it first came out, and then they thought, hang on, let's put it in a fancy bottle and like charge double the price of all the other vodkas. And
I mean, I have to be honest, it's a pretty good vodka. I mean, it's not like I'm going to drink. You're not going to give me a glass of Glen's vodka and a glass of that, and I'm not going to go, I can't tell the difference. But although Ciroc, that's the one that all the rich people like to drink, isn't it?
That's the one now, yeah.
But they had that last night in the venue. I was tempted to get a glass because it probably wasn't much more expensive than the fucking drinks I was getting. So, but a brown glass bottle I can't think of anything. I mean, I think brown glass bottle, alcohol, shavings from the sun, gold flakes, in it. I can't. Yeah, and then the last line's already. It says, "Although those shoes affect your step, don't forget whose legs you're on." Now, because I never used to listen to this, I thought "Don't forget whose legs you're on" was a kind of, I just assumed a really surreal line about not forgetting who you are or something, like don't forget whose legs you're on, like you don't forget who you are because that's what his legs you're on. But I actually think, which is not, but then he says, because he says oh, I had a question for the tap dancer sat on my lap. I think don't forget whose legs you're on is simply him saying to her, don't forget who I am, because she sat on his legs. And I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't simply never thought of it.
Wordplay.
Yeah, like it's simply saying like which she sat on his legs. It's almost like because she's giving it, she's flirting, she's trying to get with him. It's like he's saying, don't forget his legs are on, which is kind of like him saying, don't forget who I am, which doesn't sound like something that
Don't
Alex
forget
would.
the reason that you're trying to get off with me. It's because of who I am. Like,
I mean, with the
obviously,
shoes, I guess. Although those shoes affect your step, I guess the shoes kind of like saying, although all your bravado makes you seem better, don't forget whose legs you're on. Don't forget who I am, or whatever. So that could either be interpreted as a warning to someone who might put it about with someone else, or it could be him simply saying, "Do you know who I am? I don't sit on these legs." Which I can't imagine that being Alex. Though that's the thing. I can't imagine Alex ever thinking that. Like, don't forget who I am. Unless he simply means, unless he simply means, because in a club, in a place, there might be other people that could tempt her to leave, and he's like, don't forget whose legs you're on, in a kind of like a don't forget who I am kind of way. Maybe it's not like a kind of don't forget whose legs you're on. Don't forget whose legs you're on. I am. Do you know who I am? Maybe it's more like don't forget who I am and fuck off. I'm here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more like that.
Yeah.
But it is a very good
I
wordplay.
see it more like that.
Very good wordplay. Because I'd always just assumed it was a surreal song or something. Like, don't forget his legs are on, like, sort of weird, like, sort of thing, like he did in this era. But yeah, I do like it. It's a very good bit of wordplay. Very good bit of wordplay. I like it. But yeah, I think it's, for all of, like, possible different things, I think it's simply a song about going out and meeting a woman, and then she's flirting and giving it the all, and he's just reminding her at the end not to it might even mean by shoes that her heels, like even though you look good made up like you are tonight, don't forget that I was interested first, or whatever, when you're flirting with the other men in here, or whatever, maybe. Yeah, simply. Because I guess the drug people would probably think, I didn't see, but would probably think that he means in drugs, don't forget your own legs, like don't lose your head, don't forget whose legs you're on. Which could hold up, but I do think it's referring to when he said she was sat on his lap. Don't forget his legs are on. So.
I think so too. I think it comes back to that, definitely.
I think there'd be more conclusive points if the song was longer and he had more lyrics to expand on these themes. It's a bit. I think it's simple, but because it's in that's why I say whatever people say, I'm dressed as a humbug song, because I think it's a very simple premise, but done in a humbug way to seem really like. Must be about something else or whatever, but I just think it's quite simple.
Yes, very much.
Should we do our favorite lyrics?
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
Although the title is pretty good, I think I'm going to go with "and she had childproof caps on her answers," because I just really like that line.
So that I was tempted by that, but I eventually went for "When You Catch the Flow" with a vivid and absorbent sharpened art. No,
yeah,
sorry, I apologise. Wrong one. The chorus, it picks you up. A scimitar-shaped yellow light, and it picks you up and cuts you down to size.
That is a very good metaphor. That what this song does have going for it is very good metaphors or similar, like the moon, the way he describes the moon, the way he talks about it being elusive as childproof caps. Yeah, there's just very good sentences, to be fair, on there, and I do really like those metaphors from him. But favorite musical moment?
Bad sound in your ear that make you get up and down.
I'm gonna have to go the bass, I think. As much as I like the piano riff, he just smashes it. He just smashes it again. So, I mean, I think the bass has been almost exclusively the answer to every B-side, musically. Like, there might have, barring maybe two, I think the bass has won the B-side war on Humbug.
Very much so.
More so than ever. There's rarely ever a landslide, I think, on our things, but the bass has run away with the B-sides here.
Yeah, it might be. That might not be the case for Suck It and See. Just thinking forward to some of them. No, it will. There might be a B-side or two where it is. Yeah, we'll see.
I think the B-sides will be more varied. I think it'll be hard because even the album tracks, the bass is very good, but there's also a lot of other great things going on. So, so I'll have to see. But I'm not going to bother with the hot take because I think we made it quite clear that we wouldn't replace Fire in the Flood with this. Because I do think it would be silly to do it. Oh, have you got a shipping forecast for us? Go on then. Do us a little shipping.
Listen to the shipping forecast.
Do you want to run with that?
So, obviously, Alex was spotted in New York for the Fontaines DC.
Spotted
shows.
like he's not
They
allowed.
Debuted spot, yeah, it's banned.
He's a chef.
Miles from home. So yeah, he was at the Fontaines DC shows in might have been Brooklyn, I think, but he's also been spotted in also spotted in Brooklyn. Not sure if Alex is with them. Lauren Humphrey, of course, drummer for Lash
Brooklyn
Out
Heights,
Puppets, and
Brooklyn
Tom
Heights,
Rowley.
Brooklyn Heights. Sorry, very subtle reference there for anyone.
That's a good Friends reference. That's my flavour of Friends reference. I love that. Yeah, so Lauren Humphrey and Tom Rowley have both been working together in a studio in New York at the same time Alex is there. No Miles, in case that's what people were thinking was going down. And Tom Rowley.
Who is it?
wouldn't be
Tom Rowley and
involved, 'cause
who?
It was Lash Shadow Puppets anyway. Tom Rowley and Lauren Humphrey, drummer from Lash Shadow Puppets.
Well, it's hard to say because they have changed band members before, so it is possible that they could be involved in a new Shadow Puppets album if the other people aren't available. Do you know what I mean?
But at the same time, they don't tend to have another guitarist with Lash Shadow Puppets. It's just Alex and Miles.
That's true.
So
Yes.
that's what.
Wait, yeah. It's interesting because it could either be Shadow Puppets. It could be. I don't know why he'd be writing Early Monkey stuff with them, but possible because he just tends to write on his own first and then bring the rest of the band in. So I don't know why. So what instruments? So it'd be guitar and
So
what
guitar
instrument
and
does
drums are both taken
drums?
care of,
I can't. I don't think he'd be
Lauren
bringing.
Humphrey's a drummer.
I don't think he'd be bringing someone in to do the drums early for Arctic Monkeys. I think if it was another guitarist, maybe. But I doubt that as well. To be fair, he tends to write his own little demos and then share them, perhaps. And he's only, to be fair, he's only really done that with Tranquility, hasn't he? There's usually more of a.
Well, I'll share what I think's going on. I think it's some sort of project Lauren Humphrey is leading, and I reckon Alex will be a guest vocalist at some point or something.
I think it's probably more likely, isn't it? I think that's probably the case. As much as I'd like it to. It feels too soon for him to be writing a solo album because if it had been like, say, it had been a couple of years and he was like to the rest of the band, "Are you ready to get back into it?" And they were like, "No, we're not quite ready." Then maybe he'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna go do a solo album." Miles is busy, amazingly. So he's gonna do a solo album, and so
Miles is busy
I can't say
contributing to the rising chlamydia rates in Eastern Europe at the moment.
as much as, but that is saying something. As much as it's as much as it seems like a while, it has only been 5 months since the What I've tour, so I can't imagine him jumping straight into a solo album 5 months later. Like it seems unrealistic. So I do think he is just a guest on another project. I don't think it's which he has done before. So, but maybe a big guest, or maybe he's producing it. He's got his producer's hat on.
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
Quite possibly.
but or he's just going to be involved. But either way, we might get a bit of Alex featuring or some very good lyrics on an album if Alex has written them. Because I still stand by that the best Reverend and the Maker song is "Sex with the Ex" because Alex wrote the lyrics. Yeah. The lyrics in that are like. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, "These are amazing lyrics. These are really like exactly what it's like to see an ex, and it's done in this really relatable way, and it's very Alex." And Alex wrote it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, John.
And if no one knows that, you should listen to "Sex for the Ex" by Reverend and the Makers. Alex wrote the lyrics. But yeah, I think it's more likely. As much as I'd love an Alex solo album I think I'd prefer just because I want to see what he does on his own, even without Miles. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, what will he do? But I think that'll come in future years. I don't think we're quite there yet. But yeah, guest would be nice. Be nice to see how that project unravels. What it becomes.
I'm hankering after a bit of a submarine soundtrack type action from a solo.
Oh yeah, I know people will be saying he has done a solo album. That's what it. But the Alex that did that solo is very much not the Alex that did now. And also it's weird that, isn't it? Because in a way, Rich Diawadi is responsible for Suck It and See because I feel like Alex must have seen read the material and seen some of the film to write the songs to it. So he would have, unless I'm wrong about that, and he had these songs that just fit coincidentally. But if the mood of the film set the tone for those songs, then it set the tone for the next album as well, which is very interesting. So I might have Richard Iwani to thank for my favourite album of all time.
Yes, you may well do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard.
There's
there's no Is there an AI intro for?
There is,
Should we let
because
them know
what
we're doing next week?
what I tasked the AI with, because obviously it's always our famed wrap up episode next week, which we always do, where we list our favorite songs and live shows and all that business, and we may have a guest on for that. I will find out this week, but again, just in. But I feel like whenever I say that, people are going, "Is it going to be?" But no,
Are you quoting Justin Timberlake lyrics there? Don't feel it, baby. It's just Justin.
No, just-
Do.
no, but Justin does get me feeling that way inside. But we're just gonna be doing that. But I tasked the AI. I put into the AI with no other prompts. I put in, write me a nostalgic and deep summary of the album Humbug by Arctic Monkeys. And I didn't
Bloody hell.
proofread it. I just copied and pasted it. So should we see what we got?
Oh, stand by your beds.
Push the button and we'll do the rest.
Humbug, the third album by Arctic Monkeys, takes a bold leap from their previous sound, diving deep into a darker, more mature sonic landscape. Produced by Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age, this album intertwines the gritty edge of desert rock with the band's quintessential British indie flair, creating a moody, introspective masterpiece. The album opens with My Propeller, a track that immediately sets the tone with its haunting guitar riffs and Alex Turner's brooding vocals. The lyrics speak to a yearning for escape and the struggle to find direction, themes that resonate throughout the album. The sense of longing and searching continues in Crying Lightning, where Turner's vivid storytelling paints a picture of a tumultuous relationship marked by unpredictability and intensity. Secret Door offers a moment of bittersweet nostalgia with its wistful melody and reflective lyrics about fleeting moments of happiness and the inevitable passage of time. Potion Approaching and Fire and the Flood delve into themes of desire and inner conflict, their heavy instrumentation and atmospheric production creating an almost cinematic experience. And The Jeweller's Hands closes the album on a contemplative note, its expansive soundscape and poetic lyrics leaving listeners with a sense of unresolved tension and introspection. The track's intricate layers and somber mood encapsulate the essence of Humbug, an album that bravely explores the complexities of human emotion and the shadows lurking within. Musically, Humbug is a departure from the frenetic energy of Arctic Monkeys' earlier work. The influence of Josh Homme is palpable, with slower tempos, deeper grooves, and a heavier, more textured sound. The album's production is meticulous, each track carefully crafted to evoke a specific mood and atmosphere. Turner's lyrics are more abstract and cryptic, reflecting a newfound lyrical maturity and a willingness to delve into darker, more complex themes. Overall, Humbug stands as a pivotal moment in Arctic Monkeys' discography. It's an album that invites listeners to slow down, immerse themselves in its rich landscape, and reflect on the darker, more introspective aspects of life. The nostalgic undertones and deep emotional resonance make Humbug a hauntingly beautiful exploration of the human condition.
Oh,
So there you go.
good that. Well done, AI.
Good that, yeah. There you go.
The last
So-
episode is just over the hill.
Over the hill. So I think, yeah. So we're not gonna do. Remember we really wanted to do the thing where we had an AI program and we do the covers and all that, but I just struggled to find if that even. I don't know where that comes from. I'm gonna have another look this week just to check, and if we can get that, then we'll do an episode on that. But it's looking unlikely just because that seems like quite a hard thing to get hold of, and maybe that's like you need something. I don't know. But we'll, if anyone knows more, then please email us or social media us and let us know how to do that. But it would be really cool. And maybe if something happens in the future, maybe we could do an episode. We go back and do all of them over time. Maybe when the pod's finished, and we can do that. It'd be good actually. You know what we should do as like a thing when perhaps it's done. We should find a band that would be willing to record snippets of each song in the style of a different artist for us or something like that. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Bloody good band.
Well, yeah. Or a good artist, a good solo
That begs the
person that
question,
just.
why the fuck are they messing around doing stuff for us?
Well, a good solo artist that does, because there's people on YouTube that do that, isn't there? Maybe we can enlist someone, but for the future. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a wrap up episode where we do all our usual stuff. We want to get it up quick. We're not gonna drag out this series like last time. We were kind of dragging it to Christmas, but we want to get Combat roaring in the summer with more into the summer with Suck It and See quickly. So we're gonna just have an episode after that to end it where we are going to watch. Something I can't remember what it was. We said we'd do a watch along for next series, but I can't remember what it was. But we're going to do a watch along of something quite pivotal, which I forgot, but we'll probably remember. And yeah, then we'll see the series out. We'll see the series out with that, and then we'll be back towards mid to the end of July. I don't know put a date in it because I realised that our timings are off because we have to do one a week earlier to put out to subscribers, but I think we can still make it work. So we'll probably be back.
You work that out, and we'll make that work.
Yeah, we could probably just do 2 in 1 week to make it work out still, but we'll put one out for subscribers. But I think the general consensus is that we're going to be back with you guys around the kind of 23rd of July to start with Suck It and See and lead us all the way through the summer with that album and B-sides into the sort of start of the winter. So yeah, that's kind of the schedule planning. But yeah.
Well, we'll see everyone next week then, won't we? For one last ride until July.
Well, 2 because we got to watch along as well the week after. But a proper episode because that'll just be a bit of fun.
Super episode. Yeah. I like the rest of it isn't. God. Say goodbye to the nice people, Dan.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.